Hi everyone, I'm back and I'm back with a copy of the sample memo. This was the memo that was the PDF in the first video in this unit. Now I want to talk a little bit more specifically about this memo. So as you know, the date, to, from, and re, sometimes it's called a subject line. This might vary on how, you're asked to present this, like the date might be last or the date might skip a space. It really doesn't matter. What matters is that you have all of this information, date, to, from, and what the memo is about. We do the date in traditional Western date style. So it's September 19, just the number, no TH, 2019. It's to me. I'm your audience. I'm really your audience for this one. And then from you, whatever your name is. And then this is a sample from another class. So this one would be obviously summary of business communication or something like that. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to actually copy this. And I want you to have the Drexel University on it because it just makes it look more, official. You can certainly do this you can copy it to your own Google Doc. You can download it as a Microsoft Word doc if you'd like to do that. That's fine. The thing to remember too, though, is this is Arial 12 point. So whatever text you're working in down here needs to match. Okay. So one of the things too, you're always going to have the date and then you're going to tab out. So like I literally am just tabbing so that they all line up. So this is important, right? It looks better that they all align and they all start here. Then you're going to do 2 hard returns. Spacing is really important in a memo. You have to understand that when your reader is confronted with a lot of information, the more white space that you have, the easier it will be for him or her or them to digest. So one of the things, though, that you should be on the lookout for in Google Docs and especially in Word docs, and I'll show you that in a minute, is to take out any extra spacing that might be in them. You just want to go into format, line spacing. I think that single spacing is fine. It does get a little squished, so sometimes I like to add just a little bit more, so like 1.15 gives it a little breathing room, but you definitely want to make sure you're taking out any spaces that are added before or after the paragraph, because that is sometimes extra spaces that you don't know that you have in there. And also it's the same in a Word doc. So in a Word doc, what I would do is highlight all of your text. Oops, I did not do that, did I? No. Thank gosh for the Control Z. Highlight all your text, go into your paragraph here, and then you want to look at your line. So make sure before and after is set to 0. Again, this is 1 and 1.5, which I think is fine. Okay. But if you have, sometimes it will be set automatically to 6 points, so it's going to add an extra space. And you're like, why is that adding an extra space? That's why. So just set those to 0 and you'll be fine. So let me go back to my Google Doc. I prefer Google. Okay, so you have this part up here. This is your, and again, whatever organization you're with, they will give you the format. Or if, you are in a big enough department and you can embed your email, like the human resources email that I showed you, that's fine. You can certainly do that. So we don't have salutation, and again, I explained why in the first video. So you just start with your introductory paragraph. Okay, when it have at least this much space, at least that much space between the top and where you start. Okay, and you always want to give context in your opening paragraph. Why are you writing this? And a lot of the time, it's because somebody asked you to do something, like your boss asked you to compile some numbers. Here are the numbers that you asked me to compile. And then there you go. Or last week you asked me to compile these numbers and I did, and here they are. I'd like to note this number, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then you do that. So here I'm saying there are 3, in this particular one, there are 3 trends that the student discussed. And then, so she has a colon because she's introducing the 3 trends. So those are numbered, 1, 2, and 3. Okay. You only number Obviously, you're numbering when you have a list, and then once you already number, then you would do bullet points. This is pretty much overkill. You don't really, I just used this one because it had the next layer. You don't really, you probably are not going to have to do this in your assignment. So you probably just have straight bullet points, okay? Like in this one. Yeah, and you want to make sure that your spacing again is very consistent. So from your first paragraph to your next paragraph or to your first number or point, you want to have at least one good hard return in there. Okay. So you have this much space. And then same. You always want what you don't want to do is you don't want to have it bunched up because it just doesn't look right. It just makes it harder to read. And you also have to consider it's probably being read in an online environment, so you want to give as much white space as possible. All right, and then on your second page, you can put a page 2. If you have 2 pages, you should not have more than 2 pages. If you have more than 2 pages, you need to summarize a little bit more succinctly. Most people have 2 pages. Some people have 1. It depends on what your style is. But you can come into your header and do the second page, but you have to go into the header format and say you want a different first page, or just put the number on the second page on the bottom. You can just do that through insert page number. Okay. Then what you want to have after you make your last point, you want to have a closing paragraph. Okay. You could sometimes put maybe an extra space, even just to sort of signify, oh, this is now my closing. But if you don't have room, don't worry about it. But basically, you always want to sign off that has some kind of action element attached to it. Either you ask them to take an action, or wait, I'm getting myself mixed up now. All right, so you want, either I invite them. Okay, so what you want to say is, if I can provide you with additional information, don't hesitate to contact me, or if you need additional numbers over the ones that I gave you from the last year's budget, please let me know. So really you're saying I will take action if you need it. But sometimes you're asking the receiver to take action. You could say, please review these guidelines and let me know if you have any edits. I'm making edits by, the last date to give me any feedback for edits is September 25th. So, that's an action item. Okay, but you must always have that conclusion. Don't reinvent the wheel. Just say, if I can provide you with additional information on any of the above, please don't hesitate to contact me. Don't be afraid to be that simple. Okay, be that simple. Okay, so use what you have from your assignment 1. Okay, you can't plagiarize yourself because I'm telling you to please use it. You have your parallel list. Now you might just want to, you want to have your 3, main areas that you're discussing. So you might have number 1, business communication, and then, you might have a little bit of an intro, and then your bullet points, and then number 2, why business writing is so important. Number 3, ethics are another consideration. And actually, if you want to be parallel, this one would be business writing is extremely important. So that they're all nouns. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions. Don't stress out. I know most of you have never really written a memo before, and as long as you put in a good effort and follow the directions and do your best, you will be able to revise. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions, and I'm looking forward to